When something goes bump in the night, you just better hope you're not working the night shift. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by MX Theory of Dogs. The Redditor writes, friend works for a pharmacy as security. He was notified the alarm was going off at 2 a.m., which is triggered by internal sensors. He arrived and found nothing wrong, but reviewed the footage to find the cause and saw this. He said this was the security guard's first encounter with the paranormal, if it is in fact paranormal activity. The footage shows a shelving unit pressed up against a wall, full of products and assumedly medicine. Watch the fourth shelf. Several items can be seen falling with force. One hits the ground and skids away out of sight. The other hits the ground and appears to break into 6 separate rectangular pieces. While most in the comments of this video are cracking pharmacy jokes, some are asking thoughtful questions about the history of the building, or whether or not something like this has happened in the past. Others who say they're pharmacists or caregivers claim this strange stuff happens all the time in their line of work. Allison333, however, gets the last laugh, writing, I guess you can say they had a short shelf life. We see what you did there, Allison. A YouTuber named Maximus and his friends are playing with a Ouija board in the shed. At first, they can't stop goofing around for long enough to take it seriously, but as time goes on, they start to concentrate more on the board and less on making jokes.
Are you there?
Maybe lift your arms up.
Why?
Cause it...
What?
Yo, what?
No, that was you. Is that not you? No.
They laugh wildly to cover up the mounting tension as they realize a ghost might actually be near. Unlike most of the videos, nothing happens for a long time, and the pointer stays completely still. They go back to making sarcastic jokes until another event gives them pause.
Are you standing next to Frank Tilton?
Are you Frank Tilton?
When was he born?
Stop playing. Stop.
Oh my god, no way! That actually like fell!
They are still acting like they don't care very much, but they decide to leave the shed just in case something is watching them. There's something about this video and their excitedly skeptical reactions that seems very genuine to me. Would you ever purchase a house knowing that somebody passed away in it? Posted to TikTok by Don't Be an Ash Hole. This person wasn't bothered, that is until she ripped up the carpet. On the floorboards, a body outline is found with the case number and dates written beneath one arm.
I wasn't bothered knowing someone died in my new house. But imagine my surprise when I ripped up the floor.
There's also a stain on one side of the outline. So did the person just pass away, or was his life taken? Some are debating in the comments whether this is real or not, saying that the floorboards would be replaced as a biohazard, and that they don't draw these outlines anymore, as doing so can contaminate evidence. So is this just a trick by previous homeowners, as some TikTokers are suggesting? Talk about leaving a mark on a place. A YouTuber named Advil thinks he is alone until he hears voices off in the distance. He soon finds himself drawn to the stairs leading down into the basement for reasons he cannot explain. Something just feels out of place down there, but he isn't sure what. He calls out and gets an incredibly strange and eerie reply from the darkness below. Maybe if you are wearing headphones, you can tell me what is being said here. It almost sounds like they are whispering, "He's here."
Hello?
Moments later, Advil receives an undeniable confirmation that something is in the house with him.
No way. No!
A dark figure somehow stands out against the pitch black background as it crosses the doorway. It makes no attempt to go up the steps and reveal its true form. If this is real, then whatever is down there apparently wants to stay down there, and possibly one day take Advil with him. A nice looking kitchen in the middle of the afternoon is probably one of the least scary settings possible. Well, I thought so too until this 3-second video proved me wrong. We've all jumped out from around a corner before to scare someone, but I've never really seen a YouTube video create that same feeling until this one. I have to give credit to Tyler1 for keeping the video as basic as possible and still getting the job done. On May 15th, 2018, a creepy individual gets caught on camera by a YouTuber named Ash Vlogs, and she's worried this strange encounter could be with a lurker. You tell me. She wakes up only to find a car she doesn't recognize parked across from her apartment and feels like a creepy lurker is watching her through her slightly opened blinds.
I don't want to go back to sleep because there's just this guy sitting here looking in like, what is...
Or maybe it's nothing. It's 5 a.m. and when you're half asleep, it's hard to even hold the camera, let alone analyze the situation. Ash thinks it's a strange sighting for sure, but she doesn't confront her lurker just in case she's wrong. She doesn't get the license plate of her potential lurker on tape either, but at least she has a general car description. And his creepy behavior is caught on camera.
Finally. You. Jesus Christ, look at the time, guys. 5 in the morning.
The strange encounter stays on her mind all day, and so she puts it on YouTube for further analysis. It's the only scary thing she's caught on video so far, but it's not the last. She makes normal vlogs for a full year, until the creepy lurker returns, this time with others too, a whole group of them. So her friend Jordan is shopping, and this person dressed in all black is looking for him. The man dressed in black rounds the aisle and appears to talk to Jordan, probably saying his name out loud to make sure it's him. The network of lurkers are highly advanced, well prepared and ready to confront Jordan, who doesn't know what to expect as a group overpowers him. He is then taken. I can't imagine what happens next. I have a feeling this is an art project, but if it is real, then I feel really bad for Jordan. Ivan Dragunov stands at the top of the stairs, leading down to his basement and says something in a language I can't understand. Try to translate what he says, and more importantly, tell me if you can hear a brief whisper echoing all around him.
Okay, tukima duchove.
At the bottom of the stairs, something unseen fills Ivan with dread, and he can't seem to catch his breath. He tries to run, but fear overrides the signal and his feet stand still. The room is cast into a heavy silence until whatever is watching him finally moves forward. You never get to see it, but whatever was down there sounds quite large and coming from the other side of the room, so it's very unlikely that Ivan was making the noise himself. Oh, and something tells me he won't be finding the courage to change the light bulb down there for a long time. This elevator video from 2012 was taken late at night at an undisclosed location. The space is completely empty until a woman with long dark hair and a dirty nightgown appears out of nowhere with her head down. She stands in place for less than 10 seconds before the security camera suddenly glitches out and shuts off. 2 months later, the video was leaked to the public and posted online. This leaked video might be fake because it almost looks like a stereotypical Hollywood version of a ghost. Then again, as CCTV cameras continue to improve in quality, it would only make sense for the spirits to show more detail as well. How would you spend 30 minutes alone in an abandoned cartel hotel? This video, posted by Southern Afterlife Paranormal TV in January of 2020, puts truth or dare to the test. When Josh and Todd take a half hour to themselves in the abandoned hotel at 3 a.m., the Alone Challenge saw the two partners split up in the highly graffitied abandoned hotel, terrifying themselves with unsettling noises and even more unsettling feelings. At 2 minutes 13 seconds, a viewer points out that it appears someone is standing in the doorway at the end of the hall. When Josh flashes his light, at around 3 minutes 48 seconds, a scary sound is heard, almost like a cabinet being shut.
I don't know what that was.
At around 5 minutes 40 seconds, Josh finds an upside down cross that's wet. He believes from the cold and dampness of the hotel. At around 14 minutes, he believes he smells fresh paint. Maybe some invisible graffiti artist is there to touch up their artwork. Most in the comments agree this place has an awful and uber creepy atmosphere. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, live people could be lurking around any corner. Don't know if I'd want to run into either in this nightmare hotel. Anatoly Slivka was actively taking lives in the Soviet Union between 64 and 85. During these 2 decades, he fantasized about and recreated an event that he'd witnessed when he was in his early 20s. He'd seen someone drive into a group of pedestrians and take one of their lives, a teenage boy wearing a young pioneer's uniform. Thereafter, he sought out boys to recreate the scene. This was easy, being as he ran a children's club. After befriending a boy who was always on the shorter side, he would convince him to wear the young pioneer's uniform and be part of a controlled hanging experiment that he said would stretch their spines. He claimed he would revive them, but that was not the case. He took 7 lives this way, although he had done this to far more people, 43 in all. 36 actually were revived. All were filmed and photographed throughout the disturbing so-called experiments, and the footage was developed in Slivka's home laboratory. Slivka was arrested for his actions in 1989, and shortly after had his own life taken as punishment. Good riddance to a horrible person. This deep web video features a disembodied head in a skeleton mask hovering over a single candle. He speaks in Spanish and uses a voice changer, but his tone makes it clear that he has only the worst intentions in mind. Unfortunately, other than the general creepy atmosphere of this video, I have no idea what is being said here. Listen to what he says and help me translate if you can.
Meu nome é Guidem e eu estarei te contando as histórias mais horripilantes deste planeta. Todo domingo, às 8 horas da noite. Não tenha medo.
Something about this makes me think that he is either making a confession or telling us about future plans. Let me know if I am right about this hunch, and if you think this video is real. Castles and forts often have long and frightening histories. This one is no exception. Published by Vault of Fear in April of 2012, a family was visiting this old fort when they captured something spooky on camera. The video shows a full torso shadow figure appearing to climb the stairs into the fort. A split second later, 2 crows flee from the windows. We can assume disturbed by the apparition. Apparently, this site has experienced paranormal activity for some 4,000 years. Judging by this video, that activity isn't going to end anytime soon. This strange CCTV video captures a bizarre event that's worth taking a second look at. When played at normal speed, you'll see a blurry object show up for a brief moment and then disappear just as fast. Slow down the video and you'll see that this object is actually traveling at an impossibly fast rate of speed. It looks vaguely human and the CCTV is able to correctly identify a head, torso, and legs as indicated by the small purple quadrants. Maybe this is a camera malfunction, or maybe this is a rare sighting of a creature that should not exist. Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake in what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated. An email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement, Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy.
Сейчас чуть попозже еще посижу.
Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, while stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart."
Я сейчас, друзья, специально...
By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left a hole to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. If you're thinking of taking your motorbike down a dark, mainly deserted road at night, you'd better be ready for what comes next. Published to YouTube by Mumbiker Nikyle. To YouTube in December of 2014, another strange sighting was spotted while riding on a cold night. The uploader writes, I was passing by Airy Colony after midnight, and I would like to share the scary incident which took place. He notes in the video that the area is known for its ghost stories and scary people who lurk nearby. Nikyle says he wasn't sure if what he saw was a thief or a ghost, but whatever it was scary. Thieves and ghosts aren't the only scary things about Airy Colony. Located in India's Sanjay Gandhi National Park, Wikipedia warns against traveling the deciduous forest between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. as there are many feral pigs, stray dogs, and even leopards in the thick vegetation along the lonely roads. Worse, life takings are not uncommon in the area. Neither are occult practices. Ghost stories are widely circulated, with many claiming that spirits have tried to hitch rides in the night in this area. So yeah, why not take a ride down it? Though it is late, vehicles pass Nikyle by as he rides down the dark road. There are even people standing on the shoulder at some points. As he continues driving, darkness envelopes until he sees a man walking strangely in the middle of the road. He cries out as he almost collides with the man. But when he turns around, no one is there at all. He said he turned out of curiosity, but then realized the guy could be a thief, though he didn't see him anywhere in the darkness, so he sped off to live another day, and he says he's never returning to the area again after midnight. Would you? Based on what Wikipedia said, it's not a good idea. Here's another strange basement video that doesn't seem to have any good explanation besides the paranormal. A YouTuber named David's Ghost Cams has recently installed a brand new smoke and carbon monoxide detector that seems to be acting quite strangely. First of all, it only goes off when he is downstairs. Second, it tells him that the carbon monoxide levels are at 0%, which means it shouldn't be going off at all. Finally, it tells him to get out of his home.
Okay, so we're gonna go downstairs, and I'm going to show you what happened the other night.
Look what happens as soon as he steps foot in the basement. Keep in mind that this alarm has not gone off since the last time he went downstairs. There's obviously no smoke to speak of. This, combined with other weird happenings, has David convinced that his basement is quite haunted. David explains that he once had a house guest who stayed in the basement over 3 months before taking his life. Everyone was surprised. Ever since then, David has noticed things in the house moving around by themselves, strange noises, and most recently, the faulty smoke alarm. Even stranger is that how, as soon as David starts talking about the smoke alarm again, it goes off on its own for a second time. The only explanation I have for this video is that somehow David is manually testing the smoke detector himself and blaming it on a ghost as a prank. However, all of the smoke detectors I've ever seen requires you to physically press a button. This one really does seem to be going off all by itself. This brings me to an interesting point. If David's house guest was a friend, then why would he be telling him to leave his home? Perhaps there is some sort of danger. Perhaps he is trying to warn David of a gas leak or an impending fire. I guess only time will tell. A forest and nighttime is a terrible combination. That's what these men find when they set out into the area jungle in the darkness. Facebook user Kaiza Sharam shared this video of a peaceful walk through the moonlit forest. Just kidding, this is anything but peaceful. A couple minutes into the footage, a man points out something lurking amongst the trees, similar to another entry in this list. It appears like a woman with long black hair dressed in white. They keep their distance, only pointing out the figure to the camera. Later, they follow her into an abandoned building. Her long hair disappears around a corner. When they turn the corner, she's vanished. They search through the dark building, but don't cross paths with her again. That is, until they enter the dark and expansive forest. They spot a strange figure. It's not the woman, but appears to be something wrapped in a white sheet. When the man approaches to peer inside, the thing moves. What is it? Could it be some sort of ceremonial figure left to these men by the dark-haired witch? Whatever it is, it bows to the man again as he probes it and then walks away. What do you think this might be? What's inside? I don't think I would unwrap this gift. A series of unfortunate events leads us to no answers in this video. The security footage was taken in September of 2015 at around 1 in the morning. The footage appears to be taken outside a shop after some heavy rain. Two men are standing outside, one on the pavement, one at the door. After a moment, something grabs the man standing on the pavement. Water is splashing around like the incident is happening in a puddle. The man falls to the ground and the other man near the door attempts to come to his aid, grabbing his arms. He is pushed back though and runs off toward the door to get help. The man continues to fend off the invisible force before being dragged out of sight. The man returns from inside, looking as though he's on the phone. He searches around for the man and walks toward the water. Then a large figure comes flying at him. It's not clear if it's the man returning to safety or something else. In slow motion, it looks like it's crawling on all fours. It chases the man inside, knocking the door on the way in. A moment later, a mysterious figure in a black cloak exits the building. What is happening here? Who grabbed that man? What gave chase into the building? And who is this cloaked figure? Unfortunately, we are left with no answers, only questions. Yasa is exploring not a tunnel, not a cave, but a haunted well, as in a dark hole straight down. He gets strapped into a pulley system and slowly lowered into the claustrophobic entrance. Right away, he finds a snake at the bottom along with some other scary things that are way more concerning.
في شيء ترى هنا. بسم الله.
A toy blocks a small passage that he can't fit through, but a child can. Perhaps this is where the child who haunts this well crawled to after falling in. As he contemplates this possibility, something comes at him from behind.
المغارة هذه طويلة. هو كهف بس حرارة فيها غير طبيعي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I think this is probably just part of the well, but it also kind of looks like the side profile of a boy's grinning face, rotten teeth and all. When ghosts need a clean getaway, they simply possess moving objects. Sometimes these objects are motor vehicles, or so this clip would suggest. Published by Doorbell in January of 2018, the short video purports to show the paranormal possession of a car parked in a parking garage. This white vehicle rocks side to side, its doors open and shut, and its alarm starts going off, all while no one is near it. Even the windshield wipers start swiping, while its back door flings open and closed. Soon the car's paranormal activity sets off every car alarm in its row. The car is later seen driving through the garage, apparently without anyone at the wheel. When the security guard sees there's no driver, he races off. Is this a driverless vehicle, or is a ghost taking this car out on a joyride? One is a lot scarier than the other. Jason Nilsson and his friend are walking along a path of frozen ice in Utah when they come across some kind of creature colony the likes of which they have never seen before. They appear to have a squishy, loose form, yet they show little reaction when touched.
Okay, touch it.
Oh, did you see it?
Slimy?
Yeah.
Need a stick or something. Gross. Gross.
Oh, weird.
What if it's like a disease?
The giant circular patch of ice has hundreds of strangely shaped egg-like objects melting deep into the ice. but I can't tell if these are actual eggs or maybe even some kind of larva. Whatever it is, the tiny creatures are neatly lined up in creepy, nearly symmetrical rows and not moving. Maybe they are either frozen or worse, still waiting to hatch. Nobody in the comments section has been able to properly identify what these things are, which makes me even more curious. I wonder if this really could be some sort of hatchery site for a rare species we have never seen before. It's late at night when an unusual looking mist makes the driver pull over and start recording. Something is off about the scenery. It doesn't look or feel natural, and less than a minute later, this appears directly in front of them. First orbs dance all around, and then the fog clumps together to form a phantom reaching out. I've never seen fog behave like this, and the way it rises looks just like a person standing up. There's no denying the shape is human, and if you look close enough, you can make out its entire body, head, shoulders, arms, and all. The phantom vanishes as quickly as it came, leaving the person standing by the side of the road wondering what they really just saw. If a tree falls on you in the forest and no one is around to hear you scream, do you make a sound? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Essex Haunted, the redditor explains that in Puckley, Kent, UK, there is a forest known as Daring Woods, otherwise known as the Screaming Woods. Legend has it, those who have passed there haunt the place with their screams. Although Essex posted only a personal pic, he linked to a video of said forest, which was published to YouTube in September of 2016 by LC Play Z. In the distance, you can really hear horrifying screaming from the depths of the forest.
Oh my days. Should we scream back at her?
The man in the video asks if they should scream back, and maybe that's just what this is. Live people having screaming matches back and forth at each other from opposite sides of the woods. Or maybe, like the redditor suggests, there's another natural explanation. Responding to whether it could be some species of wild cat, Essex writes, more likely to do with the ways the trees are very closely grown and the wind, although in a later comment he adds, I've spent 3 nights there. In the last 2 months filming, some of the noises are just, well, hard to explain. According to Essex Ghost Hunters, the village of Puckley nearby is also one of the UK's most haunted ghost towns. So nature or ghosts, do you have a better explanation for this screaming? A YouTuber named Phoebe Mayhew made a scary face swap video from 2016 that's still an unsolved mystery to this day, and I'm hoping this is the year we can find an answer. So Phoebe makes a joke about having no friends to face swap with, when this invisible presence takes her up on her generous offer to change faces.
Hello, anyone want it?
The eerie apparition is apparently above her, and she switches places with something peering in from the highest point of the door. So the only thing in the corner that possibly looks like a face would be the overhead lighting, but when Phoebe tries to recreate the situation, nothing happens.
But it's definitely not the light it was doing it to. Because the light's over there and it's not doing it now.
Like I said, I don't see anything else in that doorway that could have set off the face swap. Do you? It makes me wonder if something tall and creepy was watching her and then vanished. A group of ghost hunters are exploring a notoriously haunted retirement home in Ohio at 1 a.m. when they manage to find something strange and unsettling.
Into the bathroom. Here it is again at half speed.
One of the ghost hunters barely manages to catch this fleeting shadow while turning around. The room to the right is completely empty and nobody is inside, plus everybody else is in a different section of the house. It doesn't look like the camera is simply adjusting to different lighting conditions, so there really is absolutely no reason for a shadow to be on the right side of the screen like that. To me, it looks like something is possibly making a quick escape. If you have a fear of heights, you might want to step away slowly from the edge of this video. El Camino del Rey, or the King's Little Path, is a high walkway in Spain that traverses a narrow gorge in El Charro near Malaga. Originally built to allow workers at a nearby hydroelectric power plant to transport materials, the walkway was first constructed at the turn of the 20th century. 3 feet in width and 330 feet above the river below, the walkway twists and turns around the steep walls of the gorge in a way that will make your head spin. It has been partially closed for more than 10 years after it fell into disrepair. In fact, it was once called the world's most dangerous walkway, as 5 passings occurred. Across only 2 years, renovations allowed the walkway to be reopened in 2015. Going back to the original, by 2006 much of the path had deteriorated. Several sections of the original concrete had completely collapsed, leaving large open gaps only traversable by the steel beams. The handrails were pretty much non-existent, with only a safety wire in its stead. Regardless, Daredevil still walked the King's Path, and passings occurred regularly. Published in March of 2011 by AM, this video shows what it was like to walk the King's Path when it was in disrepair. The crumbling concrete stairs are guarded only by a short length of handrail. As the hiker makes his way upward, you can see the drop below is no joke. A single misplaced step can throw you hundreds of feet to your demise. Despite the risk, you can see why people put themselves in harm's way. The solitude surrounded by the glittering river below and the jagged rocks of the gorge is an experience worth having, not to mention the adrenaline rush of being a misstep away from passing on. Still, if your heart is pounding just by watching this video, I wouldn't recommend it. I certainly wouldn't do it either. YouTuber X Hurtari is hanging out with some friends in a cul-de-sac when they encounter an angry woman who seemingly confronts them for no reason.
You don't know where I live.
It won't be hard to figure out. You're out all the time.
Why are you gonna? Like you. I try to apologize. Quit walking towards me. Quit walking towards me.
At the start of the video, he is apologizing for something and tells her to have a good day, but it isn't clear what he is apologizing for. Over the next 4 minutes, this woman angrily rambles at the boys, while the YouTuber tries to calm down the situation. Things get scary when the woman starts to drive off, but stops and begins reversing towards the boys in the street. In the end, nothing gets resolved between the groups and the lady eventually drives off. The question remains is why was this woman so upset, and we may never get the answer to that question. A YouTuber named Danny's World records scary noises in the woods at night, a fierce 5-minute struggle between 2 animals outside of his house.
This way.
I'm not sure if this is real or not because at no point does he turn his camera light on, which is strange. Maybe he doesn't want to attract the attention of whatever this mysterious creature is. He's talking about how this sounds like no creature he's ever heard before. In the woods of South Carolina, it sounds to me like this could be a rake sighting, especially at 2 minutes and 48 seconds when it apparently imitates a person whining for help.
There's so much wildlife here in South Carolina. It's hard to tell. This is not it. What the?
Or maybe it's simply editing. This one looks straight out of a horror movie. Posted by Wet Tent YT to the Chills Narrator subreddit and originally published to YouTube in September of 2020. This is an urban exploring adventure turned into a nightmare. The uploader explains that this is a follow-up to a recent video he posted. He came across several tunnels after leaving an abandoned garage, and in these tunnels he encountered a figure he'd seen at the last location. These videos were filmed within hours of each other and showcase a strange person or figure that followed me while exploring. If you looked closely, it seemed to have an axe, and its eyes also looked like they were sort of glowing. In the video, after wandering down a tunnel, the uploader hears something. He sets his camera down on the ground in the tunnel facing the exit. That's when the aforementioned figure is captured, pounding on the roof of the tunnel with what appears to be an axe. Meanwhile, the uploader races down the adjacent tunnel, and when the Axeman leaves, retrieves his camera from the ground and races back towards where the Axeman exited, shouting, "Who are you?" No response. He should probably be grateful about that. Jeremy Pulverenti says he's caught a real ghost encounter on video. Security footage of the mysterious event only leaves him all the more stunned in response.
Look at, do you see there's nothing by the wheels or anything? You can see it on an angle.
And that hose is way over there.
You see it on the angle?
Yep.
Dude, what the
He and his friend suggest the container is leaning over like somebody is holding it. At 35 seconds, there's a ghostly footprint moments before the object falls over on its own, and they react as expected. Common sense would suggest that the container tipped over because it was overfilled except for one thing. They've been filling this container with water for years, and everyone knows exactly how much it holds. This is strange to say the least, and with almost 75,000 views, almost no dislikes, and all his friends backing him up, it's definitely worth looking at. I think it could be one of the wheels on the bottom coming loose, or a small hole opening up on the side we can't see. But with that said, a haunted garage is not completely out of the question.
Patrick Janssen goes into the basement to retrieve some belongings, among them a camera, when he sees something out of the corner of his eye. He decides to start recording all around him since he has his camera anyway, and he's surprised by what he finds. Here it is again in slow motion, a black shadow passing from left to right as he walks forward. A shadow that looks different than his own is shown here at 32 seconds, which looks normal and comes from the proper angle. So tell me if Patrick is just good at video editing, or if there's truly a shadow person in his home, because I think something could be living down there rent-free.
A restaurant worker named Bogues182 says that he uploaded this video from his place of work. Some trays clatter to the ground when nobody is around. I guess he thought it was weird enough to check the tapes later that night. This is what he and the work crew saw. I suppose that someone could have been off camera throwing trays, but I'm not sure exactly where they would be standing when this happened, if that were the case. The call is coming from inside the house, posted to TikTok by Old Fogey John. You can hear the fear in this man's breathing as he moves around his home. And you'll soon see why. As the man turns around the corner, a mysterious psychotic head sticks out sideways from a hallway, leading down some stairs. The psycho face is looking right at the resident. The angle of his head is so odd it's uncanny. As the mysterious stranger watches, the resident lets out a gasp of pure unadulterated fear. While some in the comments are telling the TikToker to run for the hills, others are suggesting why this man might have shown up. Mayhem writes, "When your neighbor finds out you changed your Wi-Fi password, if that's the case, you better give him the new password." Everyone knows seedy stuff happens under bridges, and YouTuber Last Leaf Studio found evidence of this in July of 2016, posting a video entitled, "Some creature creeps under the pedestrian bridge in Kiev." The footage shows traffic passing by on a highway in Ukraine's capital, as the cameraman is posted alongside a pedestrian walkway. Scanning the scene, the camera lands on the pedestrian bridge overhead. Look closely here. Beneath the bridge, you can see a large creature, apparently somehow holding onto the underside of this bridge, creeping across it bit by bit. You can even see its limbs move as it makes its way across. At first in darkness, the figure makes its way towards the light. A close-up of the creature reveals that this figure is distinctive. Its outline and limbs seem to be that of a human, or at least that of a humanoid creature. But what human can traverse the underbelly of a bridge like that, and why would they? The other option is that it's something with an immense amount of strength. What do you think it is? This video follows a Filipino ghost hunter who's exploring an abandoned hospital solo. At around 4 minutes in, as he's climbing some stairs, he hears high-pitched shouting. The Redditor who submitted this suggests its scream is that of either a child or a woman. The ghost hunter proceeds to explore the entire floor. All the while, you can hear the screeching in the background. As he nears one end of the floor, traffic is heard roaring out the window. Once silence has fallen again, the screaming can be distantly heard, and then at 7:15 very clearly and nearer. The sound is terrifying, but we never find the source. What do you think it could be? My best guess is something paranormal. Dennis from Dark Life captures what can only be a demon in this abandoned house. After his lantern mysteriously shuts off, Dennis scrambles in the darkness. Finally, he gets it turned back on.
Это, походу, его проделки.
He thinks the poltergeist is campaigning against him, so what next? The demon is in the adjacent room. He leaves for a moment, and when he returns, everything is on.
Хотел собирать вещи. И все включилось. Включилась камера и включился этот свет.
Is the demon playing tricks on him?
Ну, в общем, все, друзья. На этом все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Блин, у меня аж мурашки сейчас по коже, реально. Пипец. В отражении зеркала. Ой, зеркало, говорю, стекла.
Or is he standing there watching him? I can feel the demon's presence in this one, and I can't get that sound out of my head. What secrets does this witch's cemetery hold? Dennis of YouTube channel Dark Ghost Paranormal is about to find out. He first comes across this disturbing shelter guarded by cow skulls.
А вот это интересно, что такое?
He hears something nearby. He says voices are heard here.
Вот. С этой штуки, вот с этой постройки, доносятся какие-то голоса.
He sees a face in the structure.
Камера вижу, а так смотрю, нету ничего. Будто бы чье-то лицо. Вот, два глаза.
To me, this does look like a face, but it seems to be pareidolia. But later, he hears this through a paranormal device. Then he finds this unnerving collection of butterflies.
Открыл, я просто, я не знаю, у меня дар речи пропал. Что самое странное, откуда здесь
His paranormal device again relays this strange sound while in the body's presence.
О, блин, мне даже страшно двигаться. Я хочу отсюда убежать.
And again, this scary whistling noise is heard. The noise grows even more terrifying. I don't think Dennis should stay here any longer. The butterflies would have sent me over the edge, but that last sound is even more unnerving. This neighborhood in Land O'Lakes, Florida, was built on shaky ground, and now the earth is reclaiming the houses as its own. Within the course of 9 hours, this house is completely snapped in half and sinking into a swell of groundwater so deep that it engulfs a palm tree with ease.
Through the water, see how much water?
¿Y se lo pasa a nosotros?
Hours later, the sinkhole has easily quadrupled in size and is busy dismantling a second house. There is nothing that can be done as the foundation is ripped away. Here you can see how close this third pink house comes to being lost in the abyss. Only a small strip of land protects its corner from going under, but somehow it holds firm and the family is able to recover their belongings. Sadly, all of the remaining houses had to be condemned because even though they were spared this time, the sinkhole could randomly widen at any minute. It's a terrible situation, but perhaps most terrifying is that moments before their eventual collapse, you would never suspect that anything was wrong. All of the houses look structurally sound in these photos taken months prior. The yards and driveways look level, the telephone poles stand straight up without leaning, and the roads likewise look smooth and have little cracks. In other words, exactly like your neighborhood probably looks right now. A group of friends are hanging out, basically making a random video to pass the time until their power comes back on. They nervously joke about a number of different scary things that could happen to them while huddled together in the dark when a creepy moment actually does occur.
You are an idiot.
This is every time, ladies and gentlemen.
You.
Oh.
What?
I just saw something outside.
We're not that stupid.
No, seriously, guys, I saw something outside.
No one believes him when he tries to explain that they were being watched in the window by something bizarre outside, but I certainly saw it, and if you didn't, trust me, soon you will. He's creeped out and zooms into the area where he last saw it run off to. That's when he catches a glimpse of the mysterious figure again.
I see. There it is. See that? She's there.
Oh my god, okay, I'm scared, guys.
A strange humanoid creature is crawling on the wall on all floors. They lose sight of it, but that's because it's only seen when it wants to be seen. Soon, its frightening face fills the window, glowing white eyes and all. In an instant, it's gone again until they see movement in the bushes.
What is that?
I don't know. Shh. Oh my god.
When you look at it up close, you can tell it's definitely wearing clothes, maybe a collared shirt underneath a hoodie. So this is probably a skit and just one of their friends. Still, the glowing eyes and lack of a face are freaky. I hope they are special effects and not a humanoid on the prowl. All of them rush outside for a confrontation. One of them brings their arm down while holding something heavy, and with a sickening crunch, it's all over.
You have the flashlight!
Abdullah Al-Anbari is followed by what he describes as a ghoul when he explores an old neighborhood that was abandoned long ago. His stalker appears to be a silhouette, even under a high-powered light that brightens everything around it. Bismillah. It could be someone wearing long flowing robes, or it could be a shadow person. Maybe it's just me, but the ghoul looks much bigger here at 5 minutes and 54 seconds when he sees it again. When it pokes around the corner at 8 minutes and 3 seconds, it seems much larger than the average sized person. Even from down this long hill, you can see this figure is indeed tall and strong looking too, as it lumbers ahead. It looks like the creature is going to follow him all the way home, if he lets it, so Abdullah recites a phrase, at which point the ghoul recoils from the sacred words, or perhaps more realistically, ducks under the window and is not seen again.
له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه.
Was this all planned, or did a phantom really spontaneously follow him? Time to brush your teeth. Published to YouTube by Talal Essa in April of 2017. You'll probably be triple checking your tap before you do that after watching this video. Asking why does black water come out of the tap? Talal demonstrates this unsettling happening, letting his tap run with inky, brackish, blackish brown water emitting from the faucet. The color does not dilute at all in the entire minute that he leaves it running. Is this toxic water? Probably not. Many in the comments offer suggestions for what's likely going on, with YouTuber Jack Jamin suggesting the color is likely due to heavy metal buildup, he says. Mick Bradford and Rumble Lane went another way though. Bradford asks, do you have a well and live next to a cemetery? Well, Rumble Lane simply states, there's a demon in your faucet. Certainly looks like it. YouTuber D-Dog Michael is back at it again, exploring this abandoned place, and he is not alone.
뭐야? 거기 누구세요? 누구세요 거기?
After being scared to his wit's end, Michael enters another dark room and sees this. Did that hand just confront him? The mystery continues as he enters a room of mirrors.
뭔 소리야? 뭐야? 나 지금.
After this terrifying encounter, he keeps on going.
누구 있어요 혹시? 혹시 누구? 와! 잠깐, 본 사람 방금 본 사람.
Someone is there for sure. And that someone is stalking him.
그만이요.
Michael hears both a girl and a man in this haunted place, but are they good or evil? I think that he'd better hedge his bets because he can't be sure. Chelsea Luna and her friend James go ghost hunting in an old haunted tunnel from the 1920s. This creepy shadow figure at 18 minutes and 7 seconds is what they find. Everyone says that this is a real ghost sighting, but I'm pretty sure this alleged apparition is simply Chelsea's finger while pointing at something. You can kind of see the rest of her hand when you look close, a split second before it happens. So I think this scary ghost sighting is an accident and not real. Dr. Lost Syndrome published this video in May of 2014 writing, a little short video where Maskey gets some payback for the taggers ruining his hideout. The video follows a pair of teenagers in what looks to be an abandoned building in the wilderness. The building is full of graffiti, and one of the lads starts spraying some more over top of it. That's when they hear this strange The first time they hear it, they brush it off. The second time, they start to wonder what's up. The camera is passed off to the dude while the girl continues spraying in the room. The man heads outside looking around the area and shouting hello.
Hello?
When there's no response, the two pass off the camera again and then again as the girl goes to check if there's anyone out there while the man continues spray painting. After painting a bit, the man scans the graffiti in the room. That's when he arrives at the door to find Masky outlined in the doorway. The masked man charges him and knocks him to the ground. It appears the man is knocked out cold. What is unclear is what Masky did with his body. Masky's revenge is certainly not something you would want to think about as you fall asleep at night, and trust me on that one. Mega Skelly 11 is a YouTuber who has been experiencing all sorts of strange paranormal activity throughout their home. Sometimes it's something simple like a potted plant wobbling on its own, and sometimes it's much more malevolent. Mega Skelly 11 claims that this is a poltergeist, and after reviewing this video, I have to agree. There's just too much going on at once to easily fake this in my opinion, and I see no indication that this is a setup. Let me know if you believe this is real, or if you have a better explanation. The Leeds Library in the United Kingdom attracts top academics and research scholars, and apparently ghosts too, at least if this paranormal sighting caught on camera is to be believed. The spooky ghost activity was caught on tape during a paranormal investigation led by a group called Spirit Truth Seekers. Watch the camera blur when an apparition walks up and touches her at 6 minutes and 27 seconds.
Okay, oh my God, I am feeling a breeze. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
Are you stood by the lady across the table? There's definitely something here. I just got a shiver.
The ghost meter goes off at the exact same time she feels the presence of something paranormal. A psychic with them says this ghost's name is John.
Are you the same male as we were talking to earlier? Ooh, Spike.
And it isn't long before John the ghost is communicating with them through an EVP session caught on tape, British accent and all.
Say it again clearly, please. Circle. Where were you stuck?
Tell them certain shot, the ghost says, perhaps alluding to how it passed away. The EVPs are cryptic, but then one message comes across very clearly.
Are you happy?
Hide, John says in a commanding voice. I would have probably gone running out of there, but they asked some more questions, and then, after failing to get much information, the ghost hunters called the EVP session to a close. The Leeds Library is over 250 years old, so I have no problem believing it's haunted and this paranormal investigation is real. On October 17th, 1989, nature struck its fear into the lives of loads of baseball fans. Game 3 was to start at 5:35 at the Candlestick Park Stadium. In San Francisco, the stadium was filled with thousands of baseball fans, but before they could sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," at 5:04, the quake started to shake the earth, the first ever to be broadcast on live TV.
At second base, so the Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
According to Wikipedia, experts credit the timing of the series as a lucky break that prevented mass loss of life in the region. Key in reducing the loss of life was the fact that many people on both sides of the bay had left work early or were staying late to participate in after-work group viewings and parties, reducing the traffic that would otherwise have been on the collapsed freeways at 5:04 on a Tuesday. The ABC News crew was live on air at the event, and their feed was temporarily knocked out when the quake struck. The audio was restored before the video, and one of the anchors is heard saying the quake was the greatest opening in the history of television, bar none. The Goodyear blimp actually helped coordinate emergency assistance, and of course, Game 3 was postponed. The delay is the longest in the history of the World Series. When the game actually played out 10 days later, emergency responders were honored with throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. Pretty terrifying to watch. Lives were lost, but heroes came out of the woodwork, and that's a beautiful thing. The Bucket List Boys are an adventurous group of friends who are excited about taking the 24-hour challenge in an old haunted hospital. Most of the video is relatively normal until night falls and the atmosphere suddenly changes from playful to serious.
Justin, I know that was you.
Dude, what are you talking about? Right here. Shit.
Wait. Shut up.
That wasn't you?
No, that was you. Stop playing it.
They quickly grow more and more nervous from mysterious sounds until eventually they just want to leave. They're trying to figure out a way when something that's just way out of place pedals across their path.
You remember which way it is?
No.
Did you hear that?
What?
What the? No.
A small red tricycle rides by and sends the Bucket List Boys running in the opposite direction at full speed. They're in such a hurry to escape whatever's behind them that one of them almost falls down a dark hole with no visible bottom. They barely make it out in time and never look back. Hopefully this was just a prank and nothing really followed them outside. This ghost thinks he's at a dance club when he's actually in the psych ward. Posted to the r/ghosts subreddit, OK Adhesiveness 6788 explains that she works in a psychiatric hospital and she's pretty sure this is a ghost. The security footage from room 10 shows a couple hazy figures. It's not clear if they're connected to one another. They move around a bit chaotically but seem to be in step. It almost looks like a full human figure dancing with bits and pieces of its body erased. Many in the comments think the mysterious figure is a cobweb. Others think it's a bug. Some think it looks like a ghost dancing to Michael Jackson's Thriller. Less skeptical commenters ask the Redditor if they've experienced anything else paranormal there. The Redditor answers in the comments, yesterday a light in faucet was turning on and off. Today a nurse had her chair pulled back. I've heard stories of charts flying and growling noises. So while this clip on its own might not convince some skeptics, combined with the other paranormal happenings experienced at the hospital, I'd be more inclined to believe it's haunted too. Sandra of Two Dimensional Paranormal goes exploring an Irish graveyard. Some people in the comments are saying she's caught a ghost on tape, so let's take a closer look. The first encounter happens at 9 minutes and 25 seconds.
Keep checking back in case it's something there. Are you smoking? Yeah, because it's just going past the camera. My hands are dropping off.
The paranormal mist returns about 5 minutes later at 14 minutes and 7 seconds.
I looked at that and I was just about to go there and I turned round. And that's... Honestly, I'm getting freaked. What's that?
It's not her breath because it comes from the darkness behind her. Not to mention this only happens 2 times in the 38-minute video. Considering they're exploring a graveyard for spirits, I think this video could very well be real. Would you complete a ritual to summon a demon? YouTube team Proving Demons would. They head to the ghost church, where a demon is reputed to be, and they find that this place is more than unholy. On the way down there, they encounter a large lake with houses drowning below.
I read up that there was 13 houses that were part of this original village.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And they're sunken under this.
Mm-hmm.
They circle the church 3 times. As the legend goes, the demon will appear.
Here we come. 3rd time's the charm. Let's see if he, makes his presence known tonight.
Not long after, they hear what sounds like a child's voice.
Yeah, I heard that.
Communicating through a spirit box, they ask what the spirit is.
You a demon? If you're a demon, say the word demon.
What?
Did it just say, so I'm a demon?
Using a Connect app, they see a figure in the graveyard.
Oh.
It's picking up on the grave, I think.
The grave, yeah.
I think. It's not picking up on the other graves, though.
No. It's not.
Do you want to see who's on that grave?
They speak with it again through the spirit box.
No.
What did it say? I didn't hear that.
I want you to join.
No.
After that, they nope right out of there. This last message from the beyond makes me sure that this isn't just a spirit, it's a demon. Here's another video from the mysterious Menger Hotel. A woman is bored and giving a brief tour of her room when suddenly a paranormal presence makes itself known.
Hello? Mike?
She waits for a tense moment, hoping that her boyfriend Mike is playing a prank nearby. When nobody answers her, she bravely opens the door and looks into the other room. Here's what she finds.
What? Nuh-uh. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Something has dumped all of her possessions onto the floor in a quick fit of rage. While it's possible that she could have done this herself, it's also quite possible that this really was a paranormal encounter, especially when you consider that fires, missing things, and other strange happenings have become the norm over the years at this hotel, which was also built over the famous Alamo battle site. Donnie and Leanne share a YouTube channel, and both of them were shocked to catch this freakish figure on their doorbell cam. A girl in a doll mask with deep, cracked, creepy eyes. I'm sure you're thinking this is a Halloween video, and so is I, but look at her hands. She has nothing to carry candy in, and no friends or parents are around. Plus, this video was recorded in July of 2019, not October. And look at the time, just before midnight. When she rings the doorbell, an old nursery rhyme plays out of nowhere. Some people are saying the music was edited, while others think this is real. I agree that, well, this is one of the creepiest videos I've seen in a while. Something about it looks staged. Their channel has some videos with their young daughter in it, who is about the same size, so it could have been her. Or maybe this is a random stranger who just wanted to play a joke on her neighbors in the middle of the night and knew exactly what to do to leave them creeped out. This amateur footage catches a Disney worker dressed as Pluto chasing a small child in circles. The ordeal looks rather comical at first, until you hear the small child clearly screaming for his life and realize that this is no joke. Just as Pluto is about to grab the child, a nearby adult swings him around by the arm and tells him off. The whole park is watching at this point, so Pluto immediately goes back into character and tries to act like nothing serious happened. He walks away with his hands up as surprised parents continue to film him. I'm not really sure what caused the Disney worker to go off like this, though one rumor is that the child possibly kicked him. According to the uploader, Pluto was escorted away by a park employee, possibly security, shortly after. You're exploring a dark underground mine, water dripping, echoes, silence, and then you hear this. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Resurrect. The Redditor was on an adventure through the Disembodied mine in Arizona when he heard what he describes as footsteps on wood coming from deep within the tunnel. He says he and his crew were the only ones there at the time. Would you hightail it out of there or wait to see who or what was approaching? Well, most in the comments are already racing for the hills. Redditor JD250 offers a potential explanation. He writes, "When I was a kid, I lived up in Tennessee right on an old mine used by the town for storing stuff in the early 1800s, and I would hear sounds like these." Although JD says that he doesn't doesn't personally believe in ghosts. He admits to sensing the presence of pain and suffering in a place. On another note, the Redditor felt angry and hostile vibes in the place and insisted that it felt like something terrible had occurred in that mine, and he didn't want to know what it was. He also notes that his stepfather felt he couldn't breathe at one point, and not from overexertion. Do you think this could be explained naturally? Or is something haunting this mining tunnel? Wherever you stand, myself and most agree that this is one of the creepiest videos posted. Michael Pomeroy owns a shop in Plymouth, England, called Something Different, and in this shop is a tall Mickey Mouse doll that is quite different indeed. Michael opens the shop one day to find Mickey Mouse laying face down well over a foot away from its usual spot in a corner. When Michael checks the camera, he is surprised to find the haunted Mickey Mouse toy literally moving on its own. At first I thought it was thrown by someone off camera, but here you can see how it clearly takes a few running steps forward before collapsing. Let me know if you can see it. I have no idea how this could have been faked besides computer effects, but the way the doll moves looks very real to me. This is purportedly the most haunted house in Guadalajara, Mexico. YouTuber Ricky Velasquez dares to enter, but he will soon regret it. As he tours the place, he spots this.
Una noche loca. Las personas que estuvieron en esa transmisión. Perro, ¿qué es eso? No mames.
Did you see that figure? As he continues throughout the home, it seems to be stalking him.
Oye, güey, ¿quién eres? Da la vida.
Wherever he goes, it follows.
Pues muéstrate, no seas cobarde. Muéstrate, muéstrate, muéstrate. A la bestia, no mames. No, tranquilo.
Is someone there? Ricky keeps hearing noises, like someone is just out of sight.
¿Ha entrado sobre esto? No manches. ¿Qué fue eso?
After hearing humming during a spirit box session, things get wild.
No. Whoa. No.
I think this home is definitely haunted, but by what? I'm not so sure. Papa Jake is returning to a haunted sewer tunnel that he explored once before, but this time it's 3 a.m. He and his friends think that a large sewer creature might be down there, so they bring a lot of extra equipment like motion sensors and night vision to capture it on video. Their first encounter happens not in the tunnel itself, but rather in the surrounding woods.
Something's in the nest! Something's in the nest! Something is in the nest!
What appears to be some type of humanoid creature scampers across the forest floor on all fours. Only one of the two friends see it, so I guess he manages to convince himself that it was nothing, and they continue to press on. A short while later, they finally locate the tunnel. They are very deep inside when a strange and haunting moan convinces them to get out of there fast.
Oh Jesus, what was that?
The noise is coming from the same direction they just came from, so Papa Jake and his friend try to outrun the creature at a fast pace, taking blind turn after blind turn for a full 5 minutes. It isn't long before they find themselves wandering down an oversized pipe, completely lost. Whatever is chasing them, on the other hand, apparently knows every last twist and turn of this labyrinthian cesspit and finds them quickly. At this point, they all stopped recording to run for their lives. Papa Jake now feels he has sufficient evidence of the rake, and I doubt he will ever go back there. As always, be sure to let me know if you think this is real or not based on what you've seen. Their reactions all seem very genuine, but there's always the possibility of special effects. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Danny is checking out a chapel cemetery that is so haunted, they only feel comfortable approaching by day. They have all been here before, but this time they are disappointed to find that commercial locks are in place and that everything looks to be boarded up. Still, they are determined to get inside, and they keep moving along the perimeter, searching for another way in. After a while, the camera person feels watched and makes the mistake of looking up.
How come you're not getting through them boards, eh?
He's there!
Watching over them is a frowning, pale figure with solid black eyes. I guess this could be one of their friends, but given the new measures taken to keep trespassers out, I don't see how this is possible. You would think that they would run at such a sight, but this encounter only makes them more determined to bust a new way inside, which they eventually do. They soon reach the interior steps and feel watched again. The figure is staring back at them from above once more, perhaps twice as displeased to learn they've gained entrance. This time, they all duck into a room and watch it silently pass. The thing retreats down a long hallway, but when Danny follows, it's the last glimpse any of them get of it before scattering. On May 11th, 2020, this boy in Texas walked up to his parents after collecting a bucket full of these strange creatures. He was using a small plastic toy shovel. Had he used his hands, he might not have survived. If you ever see one of these strange sea creatures washed up on the beach, don't ever try to pick it up. They're called blue dragons, and as the name in bright blue colors should warn you, their toxic wrath will mess you up quick. Sometimes. I say sometimes because grabbing one leaves a 50-50 chance of you writhing in the worst pain of your life, worse than a giant jellyfish or even a stingray, or you won't feel anything at all. That's because these sea slugs feed on much larger venomous prey like jellyfish. They take the venom of their prey and store it to be used against larger threats like us, for example. Their supercharged sting feels like the wrath of a dragon as a result, and how much damage it does to humans depends on how recently they've feasted. Blue dragons have been known to wash ashore and cause major problems for anyone unfortunate enough to walk through a patch of them like this one. They also float upside down and can be easy for swimmers to miss in the shimmering sea until it's too late and they are burning all over. A group of them are called a blue fleet. If accidentally brushing up against a single one is worse than a school of jellyfish, imagine how a whole fleet would feel. The science world acknowledges this creature has enough venom to potentially end your life, and if that possibility doesn't make them one of the scariest things you can find at the beach, I don't know what does. No actual cases like that have been documented yet, so stay far away from them and you won't be the first. There's a YouTube channel called EB30X Fitness, 34 videos, 1-year-old account, not exactly the first place you'd go looking for paranormal content, but there's one creepy workout video they can't explain.
5, 6, 7. Did anybody see that orb fly behind Karen?
Aura.
Anybody see that orb?
A wavy light goes over his client, and he puts everything on hold to point it out. Honestly, it looks like a bug to me. He says it's a ghost caught on film though. I don't think they're doing this for publicity. It has less than 1,000 views, and their fitness studio Facebook page in Illinois already has 300,000 followers, so I think he's being sincere when he says it's a ghost orb. What do you think about this paranormal activity? It's pretty creepy, but like I said, maybe a bug. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.